Oh man, I love this song. Every time I hear it, I can remember where I was and who I was with. It reminds me of the time. Does this sound familiar? Music is like a scent. It can instantly transport you to another time and place. I ask my guests to dish about their song with the memories that go with it. I'm your host, Tiffany Mason. I have a passion for music and a curiosity about how a song affects someone and why. Turn up your radio and let's explore Memories with a Beat. Hello, Podcast Land. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Memories with a Beat. And today I have Amani Roberts with me, and we are going to dish all things Babyface. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me, Tiffany. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun.
Well, I'm excited because I know that my husband was really into Babyface when I met him, and he's 4 years older than me. So Babyface was like, just right before I would like say that like this was my music, right? Like he was just like a couple years ahead of me. So I'm excited to hear how you connect with your song. So Babyface is actually a songwriter, a singer, a record producer, and I wonder if that is why you like his music because you're in all those same playgrounds.
Well, I love his music because I think he's probably one of the best songwriters of our time.
Mm.
And I just think that the talent that he has, it's kind of unmatched, particularly in the current era that we're living in. And I love a good slow jam, and he's got a long discography of amazing slow jams. And I kind of grew up with him, probably similar to your husband. So
Yeah.
his songs just, bring back memories, but they're the words and lyrics simple, but still very effective. So that's why I love Babyface.
Okay. Okay. You said one of the best songwriters, and I think the rest of America agrees with you because he's had over 16 number ones. So boyfriend ain't doing too bad for himself.
Oh, he's doing real good. He's doing real good. So you just want to make sure people don't forget about him and let the younger generation know, like, this is kind of how it could and should be done.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I want you to go ahead and dive into the song that you chose and then take it away with, how you connect to that song and how that song, the memories that come back to you when you hear it.
Okay. So this song, Where Will You Go? And if you know Babyface, you have to play the prelude, then you play the song, and then you must play the postlude. Uh, so it was released in 1989. Where Will You Go? The lyrics are just on point. Really, my interpretation of the song, and I'd love to ask Babyface himself. Like, to me, I interpret the song like it's someone who he's very close friends with, a young lady, and he wants to take that to the next level. But it sounds like she has a little bit of hesitancy or trepidation, and he's just trying to remind you, like, where are you gonna go? Like, where are you gonna go? Who's gonna love you like I'm gonna love you? And I just think, I just love the song. So that's what my interpretation of the song's meaning is.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you after listening to it. I had not heard the song before. I know I've heard a million songs by Babyface, but I had not heard this one before. How old were you when you found this song?
I think I was 14 or 15 years old, so peak middle of high school. Yeah, yeah, and this was kind of the era where, just between you and me and your whole audience, like you would call up someone on the phone, and if you wanted to make a dedication, you might, play the song for them on the phone. And
Oh, right. Yes. Man, I forgot about doing that, calling in and making dedications. I want to dedicate this song
yeah,
to,
yeah.
this girl that I really like. And
Exactly, exactly. But if you can't get through to the radio station, you might have to make it happen yourself. So you might have to call that person, cut out the middle man or woman and be like, I just want to hear this song. So that's kind of the era and when I discovered this song.
well, I love that you're saying that you would maybe call someone and play that song for them because it's been said previously on episodes that a song will say for you what you cannot say for yourself.
Mhm.
So, in that situation, maybe you're playing that song because you want to get a point across, but you feel like Babyface has a little bit more finesse in his messaging.
Yes, absolutely. Amen.
And that falsetto. Whew,
There you
whew.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
yeah. I get every girl's attention, that falsetto.
Mhm.
In his face, in his face. I mean, I know he says baby face, but he got a good looking face too.
Yeah, great.
So you were in the thick of it, sophomore year. What, like, when you hear this song, are you in the grocery store? I mean, if you're in the grocery store or you're in your car, this song comes on. Is there a girl that you think of? Is there just that nostalgic time of your life? Is it high school dance? What comes back to you?
Many of the things you mentioned. Yes, there's a girl that comes to mind. Yes, there's maybe moments that come to mind. Even, even though I discovered it in high school, I definitely put on some mixtapes as we worked my way through college too. Uh,
Heck yeah.
so lots of memories come up. Maybe even I don't know what it was like. It wasn't a big dance, like not a homecoming dance or a prom, but some of the smaller dances, those memories might come up. I remember, I used to live in the attic, so upstairs I had my own stereo with. And I started collecting CDs very young. Like I was working at like 12 or 13 and started to collect CDs. So I had this Tender Lover CD. So I remember just kind of, I would always really play, I had the tape and the CD, and I would play the B side of the tape, which had all the slow songs. The fast songs were on the other side. So, and then this one would start off with the prelude for Where Will You Go. Then it went to all the other slow jams. Then it ended with this song, Where You Go, and then the postlude. So I remember the tape kind of playing, fast forwarding. Then the CD, you could just skip to the right song.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and I do remember calling up a girl and putting the song on the phone for her. Yeah, yeah, it didn't work, but I tried.
I was gonna ask if your love interest was, if she replied in a favorable
Didn't
way.
work. I was, probably swinging out of my league at that moment, but I tried. Had to be,
Hey,
as
yeah.
growing up like a hopeful romantic, as we say nowadays. Those are the memories that come up.
Yeah. Why do you think that you gravitate towards those slower songs?
I think so. Being like a, romantic, hopeful romantic, I think that when you can find, and there's many others. I was a little torn in terms of which song I was going to send to you because, I'm a big Mariah Carey fan. Also, you see behind me, I got her vibe cover.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
I just think that if you can find a song where an artist has been able to articulate how you're feeling and it sounds good,
Mm.
it can just really give your message just more power. And it's a little bit selfish, like, I don't I'm gonna try to talk to you via a song. Plus then I'm gonna give you all my secrets. Then if it works out and you play the song, um, then maybe if you all are together, you can put the song on again and then you can slow dance to it and make more memories. So
Aw.
that's kind of
You are a
I
hopeless
am,
romantic.
yes, yes, and I have no problems admitting it.
Okay, guys, if you're listening, take notes because this guy's got some tricks up his sleeve
Yeah,
for sure that works on the ladies.
yes, I
It
have
didn't work on the one friend, but
it.
if it works,
Yes,
then that's the next step.
there you go. So that's what comes to mind.
Now, you use the song to try to, bring your feelings out to a one lady friend. Now, is this a song that they would play at a school dance and you would get the opportunity to maybe try the song on with another lady?
I think this song, it was a little too sophisticated to play at a dance. Like
Mhm.
most
Okay.
of the songs they play at the dances are pretty basic, simple, heavy bass. Not too heartfelt like this. So it's a missed opportunity for DJs. Now, if I knew the DJ and was able to sneak in a request, maybe. But most time they just played the popular ones. And this one is a little bit like under the radar.
Yeah. Where did you go to school?
I went to school. I went to Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring, Maryland. So right outside DC.
Oh, okay. Was there a specific group of guys that you all hung out? And like I had one guy pick a song and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I would never tell my friends I liked that song." So is this a song that you were proud to own and say, "Yeah, I love Babyface," or was this
Oh,
not
I would
something you'd share
share
with
it.
the guys?
Yes. I was very proud. I had no qualms. Back then, I would share with the guys. I might be a little timid sharing it with the ladies, but the guys, yeah, yeah, I was all about it.
So you do a lot of songwriting and producing. Do you do this type of music?
Yes, I write lyrics very. I would love to be as skilled as like a Babyface writing lyrics, but I'm definitely wrote some songs, continue to write, just wrote some lyrics the other day, especially when you go through life. So that's one of the things that I love to practice and to work and to keep writing because and even one of my other producers like, okay, you got a little bit of a skill for this, so keep doing it. So yes, that's my long answer.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. It probably helps you to bring out that softer side, but what am I trying to say? It's like cathartic for you. It's just one of those almost like a
Hmm.
self-care practice where you're kind of getting that out because you're saying that it's relating to the life lessons or when you go through life. And I think that's what I appreciate so much about music too is that story. Like, yeah, bring me into your world. Let me feel what you were feeling in those moments. And those are the songs I connect most with. So it sounds like you're the same fabric that you really appreciate the lyrics and
Hmm.
the story, the journey that the I guess singer at that point brings you on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I love the word you use, cathartic. That's exactly right. And it's a very good self-care exercise, very therapeutic.
Hmm.
Um, and nowadays, if you look at music, like Adele, she does a really good job writing kind of with this same kind of inspiration. There's a song by Money Long that I love, Butterfly Effect. If you listen to those lyrics, like it's really, really good and you can understand what she's saying. I'm not sure if I think she wrote that song, but there's certain artists nowadays. Ed Sheeran, phenomenal songwriter,
Mm.
one of his most popular songs he wrote for Justin Bieber, "Love Yourself." Like that's a very simple, basic song, but
Oh
the
yeah.
lyric, like you get it. And I think that unfortunately nowadays it's just becoming rarer and rarer to really hear songs that have thought out lyrics that catch the public's hearts, so to speak.
Yes. Well, and another thing that you said is the quality of the voice, the quality of the talent that Babyface had, and you're not sure if you see so much of that or to the extent these days. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, that can be auto-tuned."
Mm.
So when you think of the dances that you would hear this song at, are you with someone? Are you just with your buddies? Did your school go all out? Were you part of a big school? Like, set that scene for me.
I went to a pretty large school, very diverse school. The dances were pretty big when we had them, and I had a nice crew of people I would hang with. So if this song came on, it was a group of us that appreciated it and understood it and would love it. So yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Now, did you guys have dates usually, or was it just usually you and the guys?
It was a mixture of both. Maybe if some of us had dates, some of
Mhm,
us maybe didn't. In high
mhm.
school, things kind of change. You're dating someone, then you're not, but you don't want to be alone, so you're there.
Yeah,
Maybe you meet someone at the dance that you can dance with too.
yeah.
So I would say it's a combination of all of the above.
So you said yes at the dances. Okay, and then you mentioned your bedroom. So what does that scene look like? Like, I guess what I think of is I had a cousin who had an attic bedroom, and it was so cool because the ceiling was slanted kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so I just love that you went up there and it was so like not normal. That's what I loved about it. So, what did your room look like? And when did you get the speaker system? And I don't know, just bring us into that bedroom.
Yeah, so the attic area I had, so you walk up the stairs from like the main level, and there's like an open area where maybe the computer was, and just like bookcases and a desk where you could work. And then you go all the way to the back, and it was my room with, yes, the slanted ceiling. Of course, you had the bed
Mhm.
there, bookcase, and my stereo, and just lots of CDs. And you just kind of go up there, you just kind of get into the mood or whatever you're listening to stuff. So I had a phone, but it wasn't in the room until I was older because it was,
Mhm.
stricter parents. So yeah, so that was kind of how it worked. And then right outside of the room was the phone. Then eventually we got an answering machine, and all sorts of stuff like that. And then, then you could put music on the answering machine to, intro who you were, which was fun. So that's kind of how the bedroom looked. Of course, posters were
Yeah.
everywhere, newspaper articles or magazine covers, maybe some trophies 'cause I grew up playing soccer and basketball. That was my room. As I'm trying to remember anything else I'm forgetting, that was pretty much it for the room. Yeah, yeah.
What were these posters? Was it Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul? Or did Babyface make the ceiling too?
Wasn't many guys that were on the floor on the posters were on the wall. You know, back then it was like Jet magazine covers. I'm trying to think who were the ladies that were up there. Sheila E. was one. I remember her. Um,
Mm.
who else? Like Vanessa Williams, who was Miss America back in the day. She was one of them. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
I think I had some like Vibe magazine was just starting, so I think I had the first cover. I'd love to have the cover now. That was on the wall. Um, then a few hip hop artists or whatever. Eric B. and Rakim, Run DMC were on the wall. So some LL Cool J had him on the wall. Those are some hip hop artists. I didn't have very many athletes. And then because
Oh,
it's a big
yes.
Washington, back in the day they called them the Redskins. So I had some of their people that were on the wall. I was a Maryland basketball fan. So we had Lynn Bias, had a Lynn Bias Sports Illustrated cover. May he rest in peace. Continue. So those are different people that were on the walls, and it would change as music evolved. I didn't have Mariah Carey
Hmm.
on the wall until I got to college, and then in my college room, had a big poster of her on the wall. I remember that. I think I had a Mary J. Blige one too. Who else? There's a couple other people there. Paula Abdul came like right around senior year with her Straight Up song.
Yeah.
I don't think I had a poster of her, but maybe her album cover, I think, because I had the record. So that's what I'm kind of remembering about what was on the walls and things. I'll keep thinking, but that's what comes to mind.
Okay. And then you said you were dancing, so I would assume that you'd play this song, but then other upbeat songs that you would dance a little bit more energetically to.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Especially at the dances. Back then, trying to think what was big. Like CNC Music Factory was probably a big that
Oh,
day. MC
yes.
Hammer was really big because I thought this on the
Mm.
radio. Um, Levert was big. I'm trying to think what else would we hear on the radio. LL Cool J was big because then he started to kind of get a little more stuff play on the radio, like "I'm Gonna Knock You Out" and "Around the Way Girl," which is a little later. What else would we play that we had danced to? I'm thinking. Those are what comes to mind. Lisa, the Cult Jam.
Yes.
Um,
You're bringing up some amazing names.
yeah. Well, remember I'm a DJ, and I'm also
Yeah.
writing a book on music. But yeah, I'm just trying to think about who else. A guy like I like it was popular. Teddy's Jam from Guy. Because I'm thinking about the high school era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a podcast? Are you loving it, but not loving how much time post production takes? Or maybe you just have other tasks calling your name a little bit louder. Virtually You can help. Check out virtuallyuva.com, supporting you in all things podcasting like editing, show notes, audiograms, and much more. See the link in the show notes. They're waiting to give you back your time. And on that note, let's get back to the show.
Okay, so you said you wrote a book. So tell me a little bit about the book that you wrote. Is it also musically inspired? Go down that rabbit hole just a little bit for me.
Yeah, so my first book I wrote, DJs Mean Business. It takes you through the time slots
Oh,
of a
yeah.
DJ set and relates it to growing a business. Like if you're starting out at 10 o'clock, you have to see who's at the club or bar, keep them there. Then you continue to build from there. Same thing in business. You identify your ideal client, build from there. You fast forward to 11 o'clock, like troubleshooting. Something always goes wrong, whether it be, speaker goes out, something's wrong with the computer, dusty needle. Same thing in business. Something will go wrong. You might have to shift and change your preferred product that you're selling or service. And then you go to prime time, which is midnight, which is the DJ playing hit after hit, keep the dance floor flowing, packed, people singing along. Same thing in business. You're just growing sales week over week, month over month, year over year. Just keep the sales growing. Then we get to like 1:30, and when I'm DJing and it's like almost last call, then I'll put on the slow jams. And what slow jams does, this is how we're reminiscing
Mm.
now. It brings up nostalgia about I remember back in like just the questions you asked me, like high school, what was going on, memories, good memories. Well, businesses do the same thing. You'll notice companies like Old Spice, Adidas, Nintendo. They're some of my favorite examples of how they use, nostalgia. They'll play older songs or songs from back in the day to reintroduce their their products to people who maybe were younger then, and then they also can tap into a new audience too. So it's very effective. And then the night's over. I have a chapter on feedback where I used to DJ and then I would drive for Uber afterwards. So I'd kind of leave the club, turn on the Uber meter, take people home
Smart.
from the same club. And they'd be like, oh, what'd you think of the DJ? What'd you like? What'd you change? And then at the end, I'd be like, by the way, that was me that was DJing. So thank you for the feedback. And they'd bug out or whatever.
Ah,
Um, and so feedback, it helps, as a DJ and business. And so that's kind of the book. Now, the second book I'm writing, it's just how we're talking about music. It discusses where have all of the Black R&B groups gone? Because if you compare today to 30 years ago was like 1993, you look at the Hot 100 charts, and this is everything, pop music, everything, just Hot 100. There were so many Black R&B groups that were on the charts, whether it be SWV, Boys to Men, Jodeci, and these are groups that had major hits. You look
mm-hmm.
now, they're non-existent, gone. So this is a part of our culture, United States culture, really world culture. What happened? Why have they disappeared? What's going to happen next?
Is it because we're seeing a lot more solo artists?
Yeah, solo artists. I think it's cheaper for solo artists. I think that changes in the economy.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah,
Is it also because of payout? Like, I feel like groups used to make a lot more money for concerts and all that kind of stuff, right? Whereas now I feel like because music is so accessible to us on all these streaming channels, they're making a lot less money, which you're saying maybe it's more economically smart to be solo artist. And I wonder if that's why, because the payout is different and it's a different economic world out there.
yeah, the payout. I mean, just to save money, like record labels, instead of having to pay four people in a group, they could pay one person in terms of
Mm,
production. It's one person instead of four people for costumes, for choreography, like all that stuff feeds into it. We went through a really big recession in '07 to about 2011 or 12. The record industry took a
mm-hmm,
huge hit. So coming out of it, it was just cheaper. Hip hop hit the mainstream, and so that's just more singular act. It's less expensive to produce hip hop music in general. So that's another one. Then you look at like the consolidation of radio. Whereas if any city you go in, whether it be DC, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, LA, you're pretty much going to hear the same songs on the radio because it's all owned by the same three companies. And that really hurts Black R&B groups because they grow locally and then they grow nationally. Like TLC from Atlanta, Destiny's Child from Houston. You have Shy that got big out of DC, Boyz II Men
mm-hmm,
out of Philly. But now it's different. It's just that's not really happening. And then just how I was referencing different magazine covers I used to have on my wall, like Jet and Ebony and Essence and Vibe, like all those magazines are gone. And that was a primary earned media source for Black
mm-hmm,
R&B groups. And, to go from over 8 million monthly subscribers to less than 750,000 is a really big loss, particularly for Black R&B groups. So that's kind of I think I told you about the
mm,
five main reasons. And technology, where we've changed from a economy where we were
mm-hmm.
forced to buy albums to get the one or two songs we liked, where nowadays you could just get the one or two songs, you can just stream it. It's very different. And the question is like, well, why have, and if you look at
Mm-hmm.
a more macro level, there's hardly rock groups, pretty much gone, not too many. Country groups, they do a little better. So maybe what are they doing right that we could adopt? K-pop is adopting, they're doing well. But if you look at K-pop, their plan, they follow just what like the Black R&B groups did back in the day. They do the same thing. So they're kind of different.
This may be disheartening, but I'm even embarrassed to ask. But if I have the question, somebody in my audience has a question too. So,
Yeah.
what is K-pop?
Oh, so Korean pop groups like BTS.
Oh,
That's
sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay to ask. Like they're like massive. They're selling out like, here in LA, like SoFi Stadium, that's like 100,000 people. They could sell out the stadiums like that 2 and 3 nights in a row. So they're
Mm-hmm.
really big supporters. They're coming from like Korea, Asia, and they're doing very well. They have male groups, female groups, and they are doing well with the group concept. So, but what
Mm-hmm.
they're really doing is they're kind of emulating what the Black R&B groups have done from the 50s to the mid 2000s.
What an interesting book. I can't wait for you to finish writing it.
Me either. I can't wait either. So it's like a big project for the summer, but I'm making progress. So I'm really excited. It's a topic I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, I love that. Well, definitely we'll link to that in the show notes because I think that that's important just for accessibility, but also great topics. I mean, I love that you compare music to business. That's so appropriate and, something we can all wrap our brain around. Plus, I'm just interested in the music industry in general. So I would think I would just find that, entertaining. And then a good question to be asking ourselves, how the landscape of our music composition has been changing and what that means and what that looks like now. So good topics for those books for sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Going to the lyrics. What lyrics stick out to you? Or is there a certain verse or chorus that when it hits, you're like, oh man, clear the room. I'm gonna go to town on this.
And we're talking. We're back to where will you go, right? I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
just we started out as simply friends. The kind of friendships never ends. We were fortunate to care enough. We just knew where we stood. But as soon as love appeared, you turned away. And so right
Mm.
there, you're like, oh, I can feel it. Like,
Hmm.
that's right there. So that's like the first verse right there. And then the chorus is like he's not begging, but he's trying to convince you, like, where will you go and who's gonna love you like I do? I mean,
Hmm.
like they putting it all out on the table. Respect, babyface. So like where will you go and who's and then you keep going, and then he says like, what kind of friends could we have been if we had kept the feelings in? Like
Mm.
it's so simple, but like makes you just like wow, putting it out there.
Because it
We
is true. Once the cat's out of the bag, the relationship definitely changes.
changes. You get stuck in the friend zone, and you don't want to be stuck in the friend zone. And so he's trying to say, look, like, the best relationships are the one where you can be like good friends and take it to the next level because then you have the solid foundation. So he's trying to convince her in a not so well subtle, but not so subtle way. And then, as soon as love appeared, you turned away. And you were so unsure and so afraid of feeling what I was feeling. You were scared that love would blow your heart away. So, many times in life, that kind of strong love will scare people off because, like, I'm not sure I want to take that risk because, unfortunately, sometimes we think negatively, like, oh, if I take that risk and it doesn't work out, I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover from the pain of the
Yeah.
loss. And that's what he's saying there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we see that play out a lot of times in movies, right? Where people are friends and then they're gonna maybe encroach not being friends and being lovers instead. And, one person will say, I don't think this is a good idea. I just wanna keep a good thing, until somebody pushes or until somebody gives in to those feelings.
Right. But most of the time in the movies, there's always like a happy ending and there's always
Yes.
closure and always closure. And in life, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, people out there. I'm not trying to be negative, but many, many times there's not a happy ending and you get no closure, which is rough. But I know that we have to put in a certain package for the movies and TV
Yeah,
shows.
yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, maybe TV shows are less so because there are some TV shows keep it real. But yeah, a lot of times in the movies, there's this happy ending, and the person always comes back the hero's journey, as they say in the writing world.
Uh-huh.
But no, no, in life, it might not work out that way. You might be left for years wondering what happened and why can't I get closure? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes. It is sad
yeah,
when people do not get the closure that they need to move on. I mean, it really does prohibit from the next relationship. So, yeah. Okay, carry on.
yeah. No, so that's the lyrics, and then you have the chorus. Where will you go? Who's gonna love you? Who's gonna care for you? Like the lyrics are very simple yet very effective. That's why I love it
Mhm.
so much.
Mhm. Yeah. The last was it my last? No, it was a couple episodes ago. The gentleman said some songs need to be direct, and some songs need to be a little bit more left to the imagination. And this is one of those songs that I think it's fine that it's straightforward, and you're just really, the message is clear, and go ahead and just feel it.
Yeah. Clear as day. If I ever, one of my goals is I want to interview Babyface. I can interview him
Mm,
for 2, 3 hours. I want to ask him what was the inspiration behind this song, because he wrote a lot of songs for a lot of artists, like Tony Braxton wrote a lot of music for Bobby Brown.
mm.
One time I heard him on a show, and he explained how the song "Roni," which is one of Bobby Brown's biggest hits, the truth about Roni, she's a sweet old that song. And the story about how that inspiration came out is just amazing. So I'm sure. I just want to know, what was the inspiration behind this one. So that's my goal.
Well, I'll look it up on Song Facts and I'll see if anything comes out there. And if it does, I'll link it in the show notes. Yeah,
Please link it.
for
Yes, yes.
curiosity's sake.
Yes, for curiosity's sake. Absolutely.
Well, if you guys have not heard this song out there in podcast land, it will be on the playlist on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. I am so thankful for your time today, Amani.
Mhm.
Really happy just to have this conversation with you. I mean, I thought it was great.
Yes, yes, I agree to. I love the concept when you take a song that means what you and you talk about it.
Mm,
That's a really cool and unique concept. So props to you for continuing to do it. I mean, I could have picked 3 or 4 songs with
thank you.
this one, but this is the one that I landed on. So thank you. Keep up the great work with the concept and the show, and it's just been a pleasure being on your show.
Awesome. Podcast land, I hope that you check out this song. I hope that you enjoyed Amani's memories and thoughts about this beat.
Podcast land, thank you so much for listening. If you had a few memories of your own pop up with this episode, make sure to take a screenshot, tag me on social, Tiffany Mason or Virtually You, and share those memories. I know y'all are listening, and I'd love to hear the memories you were reminded of with this song. Also, would you do me a favor and share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it? This is the best way you can help me to grow my audience. Can't wait to dive into my next guest's memories with a beat. Hit subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next episode.